Howdy everyone, Dave here with Affordable Door and Gate. I hope you are doing great. Got a question for you guys. So I seen a comment come through, and this was from, Functional Van Conversion, I think it is. Kind of a cool name. And so what the question was, it was talking about scissor lifts. And I thought, I'm definitely not an expert in this field. And I thought maybe there's some guys out there that watch the channel that could put some input in. So looking at one now, was there a bait and switch for the rental? So we own one, which is our bigger scissor lift. And then on our second one, we rent it. So let's talk about it. And also, if I forgot to mention, any thoughts on a 2016 Snorkel? 19-foot lift, 130 hours. Thanks for the info. So, I know the hours can accumulate on these things pretty quickly. And what I've noticed with the scissors lifts, in my opinion, these rental companies, it seems like around, and like I said, please, if you got anything, comment below. It seems like right around about the 3 to 4 year mark, they try to unload them because they know the batteries are going bad in them. And so it's just something to think about. If you're buying one, the batteries are the big thing because you can easily drop. I mean, I don't even think it's $600-$800 anymore. It's more like $1,000 to $1,200. And so things can compound. On that last scissor lift that was in that picture, I bought that that was a very used lift, and it got me for batteries, it got me for a charger, and the chargers range, I guess the thing is what something that I didn't understand was that scissor lifts are like transmissions, or they're like garage door openers, or they're something that if you don't know nothing about them, they are a totally different new animal. If you know what I mean, like when I was looking for stuff, especially the charger for the older Skyjack, it was like they had so many different models that I was like, is it this one? Is it that one? Do I really want to do? I mean, you could find them like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, some are $200. Are those even legit? Are those even like good? There's not a lot of reviews. It's like either, so you're rolling the dice, and some of the stuff is non-refundable. So I had to do a ton of research, and there seems like there's not a lot of information out there. They're just not a hot topic, right? I mean, like a 350 Chevy carbureted or fuel injection or LS motor, you can find that stuff all day long. But this stuff is a little more nichey. So here's our scissor lift in the picture, actually. It runs right around $450 a month. And for us at the time, your situations, everybody's situation is different. It was like gaining another employee. You know what I mean? Because this thing is a workhorse. You can see on this trailer, we deal with salt and grime and everything else. So this one gets plastered in salt. It's kind of not our problem. It's just a rental. It's not that we're going to abuse it or take a disadvantage of it or anything like that. It's not ours. It just recently went into the shop, which is going to be, it sounds like it takes 2 weeks to order the parts, which seems kind of oof, you know what I mean? They are going to supposedly discount us for it being down, but it's going to be 2 weeks to get the parts. But like I said, there's something that started malfunctioning on it. The guys were having issues. Uncle Dave, nobody's problem. Take it back. Drop it off. Now, fortunately for us, we do have another one. I'm sure if we were a squeaky wheel, they would give us another one to use. But it's just your nights and your weekends. No more worrying about it. Just take it back. It's their problem. It's going to take 2 weeks to order the parts. You didn't have to do no research. You didn't have to do no gambling. They're going to fix it, and they're going to give it back. So like I was saying, I don't know much about the Snorkel. I'm sure it's probably a decent machine. Now, here's the thing. What I would do is I do my homework. Your homework is key, right? For one, who's going to work on this thing? Where is a dealer? Where do you get parts? Are parts available for these things? So like for me, the one company that we rent from, they really like the Genie lifts. They swear by them. They're also using a red brand. I can't remember which that one's called. Those they're cheaper. But I talked to the mechanic one time there. He said the Genies were easy to work on. I know Tanner has had some stuff with Skyjack. He really likes the Skyjack. The Skyjacks were a little bit not as refined for us in our situations. It seemed like they're a little more herky-jerky. It could have been just a particular unit, but I did crawl in another one at a job site, and it was still the same way, very herky-jerky. It does have a good turn radius, but the big thing is what I'm trying to get at is that if you run into a problem that you can't figure out, who are you going to take this to? Is the place 2 to 4 to 6 hours away where you got to travel this thing to? So these are the things behind the scenes that are very important. You think, well, no, I'll fix it. Well, good luck. Or what if you got to get parts? What if you want to take a part in? We all know how this is going, right? The service industry in the United States of America is going to crap. I mean, like I said, for even this company, we got to wait 2 weeks. I mean, who knows if the part's going to be right too when it comes in. So, if you want to take a part off and actually take it in and say, I need this, right? And you know how it is. We've all experienced it with cars and stuff. So where are you going to get parts? That's the big thing too, right? So yes, it might be a little bit cheaper, right? But you need to find a dealer or somebody that works good, that, you can get parts, or these things flush on the internet, finding parts all day long. Is there any recommendations? So do your homework. Like I said, I more or less, when I'm kind of in the unknown, I rather just, it's kind of like I'd rather deal with a Chevy. You know what I mean? Everybody works on a Chevy. Every garage, every place, they all know, nobody turns you away, right? But you get some of those diesels. Ooh, you get some of those European cars or anything like that. Foreign Jags. They kind of cringe on that kind of stuff. So just a word of caution. I found this picture on the internet a while back. This is actually our very first scissor lift that we started out with. I think it was an Upright. That's the brand. Come to find out, the controller wasn't working that good. The brakes, that's why if you look at it, it's got that wood chunk in front of the tire. The brakes didn't work that good. This was our first, there was a couple, but this was one of them that we used quite a bit, that we were renting from a rental company. And by the time we were renting so much, I kind of said, you know what? I said, I think, and they charged us a lot. I mean, it was like $250 or something a day. You know what I mean? Like it was quite a bit. So I didn't know anything about scissor lifts, so I decided to purchase this one from the rental company, which they were pretty easy on getting rid of it because it's like it was getting older. But the thing was, is I knew this one worked for our situations. It went in between man doors, so that's something you got to imagine too. Like, do you want it to go in between man doors? If you have those kind of customers, we don't deal with it a lot, but it is, it's just nice to have that option if you got to bust a cage down and get it through a man door, things of that situations. But a little story on this scissor lift, and this is kind of part of the reason why, and it all depends what you're doing. I really don't have enough information here. You know what I mean? Because if you're a growing company and you're going to have employees, you gotta be really, you got to do your due diligence. So this particular scissor lift here one time had to go out to a place, which is Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is roughly about an hour and 15 minutes one way. And the guys were dropping this off, right? And one of them unloaded it, tipped the trailer, and this scissor lift literally went rolling down, and it went out into the major street. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Luckily, nobody was killed. So these are the things where it's, you know what I mean? Like, that's why, sometimes renting, and then you also get to experience it. So like, we're getting to use a newer rental that potentially, if we want to negotiate, we can negotiate with them, and we might purchase it through them. And we know what it is. We know how it's been treated. We know the year and the flaws, and it beeps a lot. We know it beeps a lot. That's for sure. So there is some stuff to look out for. That's why I kind of like using the rentals, because you get into the newer ones, and then you can also just piggyback off that and go, all right, either I can buy this one, or I'm going to find another one that's similar to this one, or the same year and everything, because we like this one. Nobody really has no big complaints. It does what it needs. It doesn't freak out. It's a solid unit. It's been, but now that, whatever, we'll have to find out what went wrong. Maybe this is a common issue with these ones. So, but maybe once it's replaced, there's an update. I don't know. So that's why sometimes it's just nicer to rent. Like I said, it's like having another employee, because the scissor lift, obviously we all know if we use scissor lifts, they're a lifesaver. They're a must. And so, but when you take them out in the field and, you got something that maybe just isn't representing the way you want it to, isn't looking the way you want it to, or isn't, and then the worst part is if doesn't function the way you want it to, and you're paying guys X amount of dollars, and now you got a scissor lift, because I've had that before. Guys call, hey, it won't come down. And it's like, what? Yeah, one guy's on the ground, one guy's up there stuck. There's all these situations. So, they can be a little tricky. So another thing thinking about this scissor lift is you got to remember too, to be in some of these buildings, depending on what kind of buildings you're working at, these things are supposed to be all up in compliance, right? They're supposed to be certified. I don't remember if it's every year, every 3 years, they have to have their certifications. They're supposed to have stickers that are all supposed to be on there. They're supposed to be the correct paint. They're supposed to have the correct tires. They're supposed to have the right safeties. So there's a lot of layers in these things. So depending on what you're doing now, if you're just kind of starting out and sure, you can do something like this. Look, it's $29.50. You know what I mean? And like I said, it was better than nothing, but with the brakes not working, and this one didn't really have pins. It had like these pads, and the pads didn't like to engage that good on them. So this thing was always rolling. So if you got on any kind of surface and the battery cut out on you, I mean, this thing, it was just not safe. So kind of in summary, I'm not saying we're not going to purchase one in the future here, because it's $450. You do the math. I mean, about a year or so, you get ready about $5,000. And so you could purchase one. But as of right now, just kind of with the economy and stuff like that, it's just easier to just pay it. It's kind of like what they say, right? You're going to, You're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy. And so, if I could lease trucks at a reasonable price or vans, I would do the same thing, because it just eliminates, you get newer stuff, you get newer equipment, and it's just, you guys know how it is. If you're hustling, like when I was just sweating tears, you need it to work. You know what I mean? You got guys there, you got the tools there, you got the customer that's complaining, they want their stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of work getting these in these garages, or you got to pettibone them in if you're doing commercial. So for us, the 450 is a drop in the bucket. It's just, hey, let's just do it for right now. Like I said, it's a beautiful thing. The trailer is actually empty right now. That machine's over getting worked on. It's not Uncle Dave's, isn't Cap's problem, isn't anybody's problem. Just drop it off. Don't worry about it. They take care of it. They'll refund us, deduct all these things. So these are things just to think about. Maybe, like I said, Tanner will pop in and he'll mention something too, because I thought he said something about 2017. There was something that changed. So that is also, but like I said, I like it because we get to use newer equipment. And if we like it, we're going to probably purchase one, either the same one, or we will purchase one, similar to it. But it just gets us into it to get the mojo and feel what's going on. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into them. They can be very dangerous, especially if it's just not an owner operator using them. If it's an owner operator, and you're not doing anybody that's, you're just doing a resi commercial-ish type of builder, then, buy a cheap one. You know what I mean? Like I said, no big deal. It just depends on what you want to do. And, just watch the batteries, make sure the charger, make sure you run it before you purchase it. You know what I mean? Make sure it drives up your trailer. That's a big one. Because that's what got me. I didn't drive it up the trailer. It was on gravel. I bought it from a guy. I'll just put it up there for you. Well, I realized that it was probably not strong enough to climb up the trailer. So that's another thing. I've had to have trailers. They got to have winches on them. I've done so many different things with them. It's crazy. But if you got anything else, comment below or email me at the daveadubson@gmail.com. I always appreciate the comments. I always appreciate the emails. I always appreciate the texts and the phone calls. Josh, you're supposed to still call me back. We'll talk to you later, guys. Keep your fingers. Be safe. See you on the next one.